GoPro is back with a new proposition. We have the Mission 1 series. This is the Mission 1 Pro, and also this is the grip edition, so you get this grip case cage thing with it as well. We'll talk more about that in a second, but this is offering just a bit more for those who like to create content and are serious about creating content. This offers 4K up to 240 frames per second, 8K 60, 8K 30 with open gates is there as well, so you can shoot widescreen, crop vertically, horizontally. You can do whatever you want in that sense. So it gives you just a bit more to play with, and you still get that 10-bit color space, which means when you color grade and start playing around with all the settings, you can get some really good shots out of this camera. As far as the design goes, it's very, very familiar, just like the Hero 13, but you get a bigger front lens, as you can see on there. You still got the screen on the front, the screen is still on the back as well. What you get is this fixed ultra-wide fixed focus lens on the front. You got more pronounced buttons as well. So these buttons you can see up top and then on the side as well. They're a bit more pronounced, so they're easy to just figure out. If you're blindly just touching it, you'll be able to just quickly figure out where they are on the go. This is not too heavy as well. This is 7.3 ounces. You got your regular mounts that we're used to with GoPro, so the quarter thread mounts. You got the finger mounts and magnets support as well. The frame is nice and sturdy, so this is good for when it comes to drops, bumps, and all that kind of stuff. And you can even go 6 feet underwater without any housing at all. And this, as always, supports your micro SD card support. So if you get a A2 V30 micro SD card, you can place that just in there, especially if you want to be recording 240 megabits per second coding. You should definitely think about getting a really fast micro SD card to go in there. The battery in here is the new Enduro 2, so they're talking 137 minutes if you're shooting 4K 60, and around 316 minutes if you're shooting 1080p 30 frames per second. For that 4K 60, I was getting around 2 hours straight shoot out of this, but that's probably not something that most people would do in terms of shooting straight up in terms of for that period of time. It's something that I usually just, on my day-to-day besides testing it, it's just something that I always press and record, starting and stopping, recording bits and bobs throughout the day. So that's probably nothing to worry about. Battery life, really good. For the grip edition, it's gonna cost you a bit more, but this is the grip that you get with it. And it allows you to detach on this side, so you can take this bit off completely if you wanna do that, or you can just put it back on and then lock it back in place like so. And then up top is where you get your cold shoe mount is up there. This is also your shutter grip button, so this presses down to allow you to record and start taking photos as well if you want to do that. And on the bottom there, we've got your tripod mount again on that side, so this just expands your usability in terms of what you can do with it, and it's very easy to mount as well. So just open up like so, slide it in there like that, clicks into place, you get that satisfying click, and then you're good to go. One thing that was a bit of a concern for me using it, maybe it's just a test version, I don't know, but this thing usually comes off too easily for me. You can see that clicky bit there, it's just a bit too easy for something that I want to really rely on so it doesn't fall off when I'm shooting out and about. Sometimes as well, this can offer a bit of a, I don't know, it's nice to have in hand, but sometimes this has a bit of delay to it, so when you press it, sometimes it doesn't quite connect straight away and do what you want it to do as you're recording. But the pronounced buttons means that with the cage on the side to power it on, you can easily just press that. It's still easy to feel for it without having to worry about the cage overshadowing or covering your situation there, your button there rather. But yeah, you can see there, that's the time-lapse mode. So if I just go back to photo mode, you can see what I mean with the delay. So you press it. There's no memory card in it right now. But yeah, there's a bit of a delay sometimes when you press it. And it's just a bit too I don't know, it just doesn't feel clicky as I want it to feel. I'd rather that to feel a bit just clicky when you press it. But that's about it for that. And then you can see the front screen there as well, just so they can see what you're doing. It's not touch screen like the DJI stuff. So that's unfortunate. So you can't really interact with it on that front screen, but you can see what's going on regardless, which is more important than anything else. So if you look on the website, you will notice in the series, you do have the standard Mission, you got the Mission 1 Pro, and then there's also the ILS as well with the one that supports the micro four thirds capability, so you can mount lenses on the front there. But with the Mission and the Mission 1 Pro, there are some differences in what you get. So the Mission doesn't support 8K 60 or open gate 8K 30, only supports 4K 120 frames per second, 1080 240 frames per second, and there's no 10-second burst slow motion as well on that one. But if you get the Mission 1 Pro like we've got here, you get all singing and dancing features, and also it has better processing power, which enables all that extra feature that you can do there. But elsewhere on the side, you have that power button there, which is sort of your mode button right on the left side. Record button's on the top, but obviously it's in a cage right now, so you won't see it, but it's really just placed on top there. And also you have a 2.6-inch touch display on the back, which is also OLED as well, so it gives you really good color accuracy and good representation of what you're going to be recording out and about and on the go. And on the front you get your display, like I said, but there's no touch like you get on the DJI. This still supports your quick app as well, so you can download all your content straight away, start using AI features and cloud features as well if you pay for that stuff. So this still uses all that. The user interface is still straightforward as well, so it's something that you'd be familiar with if you used GoPro Hero 13, for example. It's pretty much what you get on that as well. So for example, you can swipe down to see some of the quick settings options. You can swipe across as well to see some of the options available. Swipe back up to this to make that disappear. You can swipe from the left for different things depending on what you've got on the screen. You can swipe from the right as well to change different modes. So you can see there we've got low light mode, we've got the slow-mo mode there as well. And then you've got your sports POV, you've got video mode, photo mode, and your time-lapse mode. If you were to go on the photo mode, for example, you tap that, and then you see on here, you can then select things like your megapixel count as well, so 50 megapixels if you want that. I've got no memory card in here right now. But yeah, you can change the settings, for example, on this bottom corner there. So there's loads of options available. So I won't go through all that right now because it's pretty much, it's very similar. It's the same. It's straightforward. You can pick that up very quickly. But let's talk about the video though. So before on the Hero 13, one of my qualms with that one was the fact that it was poor in low light situations. But with this one, they've upgraded from that previous, or I say previous, Hero 13's black had 1/1.9 size in terms of the sensor, and its f2.8 fixed lens as well, which, like I said, was quite poor in low light situation. But now we have this Type 1 image sensor. It supports 16:9, 8K60, 4K 240, 1080, 480s there as well. And then you have that 4x3 full sensor use. So if you want to do open gate, it's there. And you get 10-bit color sampling. Hyper Smooth digital stabilization still there as well. You got Boost Hyper Smooth, which also crops when you use that mode. You got Super View, which shows barrel distortion, especially at 16mm. If you use that wide setting, so 16 to 24, it's going to be reduced, not as bad, but you can still correct that in processing. If you use linear, then there's no distortion. That's 22 to 27mm, but that's probably not the reason why most people buy this sort of camera. But it's there if you want to do that for day-to-day stuff. If you want to be vlogging, I'd say use that mode because there's less distortion, there's less stuff to correct afterwards. You got different profiles available like cinema, flat, GP Log 2, natural, vibrant in SDR, and then in HDR we've got cinematic, natural, and vibrant. You got auto and manual exposure available to you as well. You got built-in microphone, which also allows for 32-bit float quality of recording, which is becoming a thing right now with most microphones and external mics and all that kind of stuff. It just means that way you don't have to worry about clipping. You got safety audio, so that's less things to worry about when you're out in the field making content and filming things. For stills, you have quad layer tech, so 50 megapixel and 12 megapixel resolutions available. You got raw capture as well with some barrel distortion depending on which mode you have it in. So that's something you might have to correct afterwards. But again, it's just something to bear in mind in terms of what you can actually do with this. So what was the quality like after using this for quite a while now? I think it's absolutely fantastic. The colors are really nice. You might have to tweak some of the settings to get the best of it in terms of what you want out of it, how you want it to look. But once you've done that once or twice, maybe, you don't have to keep doing it again. You can then get that result over and over. You got GP Log 2, which means afterwards you can just color grade it just the way that you want it to look. And generally, the improvement for me, the big improvement for me is that low light quality. I think it looks very natural. It looks really good. And you might still get some digitalization, if that's a word, in terms of the effects and the quality when you see the reproduction, but I think it's not as bad as what I was worried about this is going to be like. I think this produces some fantastic images whether you're shooting stills or videos. It's really great to work with and it works really well. So the improvements are very much welcome. The only question I've got is whether it's too late for GoPro or not, but I think GoPro has a really good fan base of users who are still using this and trust it for their day-to-day content capture and filmmaking process. So, and I'm one of those. I trust it. Previously, I kind of switched over to DJI because of the low light performance, but now coming back to this, I think this might be the one that also sits in my bag everywhere I go in terms of shooting content. So really good stuff here from GoPro, and I think I hope it's not too late for them. I think the pricing is still kind of an issue. It's still kind of expensive, especially when you go for this one with the extra grip, and then the one with the ILS is not out just yet, but the pricing on that's going to be expensive as well. But that's not for everyone. They've kind of produced something that's something for everyone. If you don't want all that open gate stuff, you can get the lower version of this. If you want all singing and dancing features, you get this one. If you want a bit more, get the cage or the grip. And then if you want to just experiment a bit more with micro four thirds lenses, or that's something that you have a lot of that already in the studio, then you get the ILS version when it comes out, because that offers just a bit more, albeit it might not be as versatile as this would be. It might just be something you have to get in conjunction or tandem with another GoPro device. They have other smaller GoPro units that you can still get for those action shots if you need to do so when you get the ILS version, for example. But yeah, really good stuff. I really like it. And yeah, I mean, I just hope it's not too late for GoPro. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you have any questions, drop them there as well. And thanks for watching. See you in the next one.